So I searched this morning for the perfect thing to start a message on Father's Day with. And I found this quote from Mark Twain. It said, "When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant, I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to 21, I was astonished at how much he had learned in 7 years." I think a lot of us can probably relate to that from both sides of the view. There was another small boy who was asked about Father's Day and what it meant. And he said, "Father's Day is just like Mother's Day, only you don't have to spend so much on the present." Happy Father's Day, guys. So today we celebrate that masculine energy that's found in all of us. Like everything in the universe, there's the yin and the yang that coexist. And we all have both the masculine and the feminine energy within us, regardless of our gender. And as we think about that, we often associate masculine energy with that man or that father figure, but that's not always the case. Your father figure could be a stepdad, an uncle, a grandfather, a teacher, a coach, a family friend, your single parent, or maybe even your mother. All of us have different fathers. You could have more than one father figure. So today I invite you to take some time to reflect on the father figures that you have and to think about the energy that comes along with those people, with those men primarily. We generally associate things like logic and structure, confidence, assertiveness, boundaries, and characteristics in that nature. But this morning for Father's Day, I want us to look at the other side. I want you to think with me about compassion and love, and especially about self-compassion. The topics have been bouncing around in my head for a few months and in my time of meditation, and this just seemed like a good time to talk about self-compassion. How we can be better representatives of the Christ presence within us, not only for others, but for ourselves. Compassion means literally to suffer together with someone. It's responding with concern for the sufferings and misfortunes of others. According to Wikipedia, compassion is a social feeling that motivates people to go out of their way to relieve the physical, mental, or emotional pains of others and themselves. This definition brings us to consider compassion from two angles. First, how we're to be compassionate for others, and then how we are to be compassionate for ourselves. The parable of the Good Samaritan is found in the Gospel of Luke in chapter 10 in the Christian scriptures. And it's the story of a traveler who was likely a Jew that had been attacked and robbed on the road between Jerusalem and Jericho. He was stripped, he was beaten, and he was left for dead on the side of the road. And the first two people who passed him were a priest and a Levite, both religious people. And both of them stepped around him and went on their way. None of them concerned enough to help the person. And then came a Samaritan who was considered an enemy to most Jewish people. But he sees the injured man and he decides that he's going to help. So he soothes the man's wounds with oil and wine and places him on his donkey. And then he takes him to an inn and says to the innkeeper, "I will pay for whatever needs to be done to help this person heal. And I will come back later and pay for anything extra that this doesn't cover." So the story of the Good Samaritan is when Jesus was talking about answering the question, who is my neighbor? So think about that for just a moment. Who in this world is your neighbor? Who is it that you're called to show compassion to? And I think the answer for most of us would be to everyone. Now, does that mean I like everyone that I come into contact with? Excuse me, no. Be truthful, we don't. We don't immediately love and want to be a connection and a part of everybody that we greet. But we're still to have compassion and love for those people. One of the great things about this story is it's not only teaching us to be a neighbor and to be compassionate, but it teaches us to love people regardless of who they are and how we see them. Being loving to others includes being kind, being understanding and generous. Loving is forgiving grievances easily and seeking to understand other people. Love is the very nature of God, and it is therefore, since we are a part of God and God is a part of us, a part of the very nature of who each one of us is too. But let's be real. Life can be a lot. There are times when we feel very vulnerable. We feel like we've been pushed to our limit. We're right on the very edge. We feel overwhelmed, and we go into survival mode. And we become critical of ourselves sometimes during this period. And we begin to feel very alone. This is when we need our self-compassion to kick into high gear. We need to think about ourselves as someone that we love and not start beating ourselves up. Self-compassion is acknowledging that we're going through a hard time and loving ourselves through the difficulty. To be clear, self-compassion is not self-pity. Those are very different things. Self-pity emphasizes our ego state and allows us to become wrapped up in our emotional drama. Anybody ever been there? That's not self-compassion. Self-compassion is taking a step back and looking at a situation and adopting a balanced perspective of how I'm going to get back into completely loving myself. Self-compassion also is not self-indulgent. Some of us have probably had those days as well. Things are rough, things are tough, so here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to call into work, take the day off, and watch television all day long. And eat a quart of ice cream. That's self-indulgent. That doesn't help us get past where we need to go. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not being compassionate with ourselves, because in the long run, we want to be happy and healthy for who we are later on. While we're going down the road of self-compassion, I want you to think just for a minute about any time that you see something in your life that you don't like. What do you do with it? Some people have great ways of trying to change what's going on in their life that they don't like. Some of us try to shame ourselves into getting rid of that part of who we are. That doesn't work either. When I came out as gay, I had tried everything in the world to not be. I had tried everything I could possibly think of to not have to be the person that I genuinely am. And that was not being self-compassionate. Self-compassion is saying, this is a difficult thing for me to deal with, but I'm going to deal with it, and I'm going to come out on the other side of it loving myself. People often are hard on themselves. And when we're hard on ourselves, then we start to do that self-talk thing. Again, I'm sure it's only me. Where I start telling myself everything I've ever done wrong since I was 0 years old, up through now. And I tell myself all the things that I think I can do differently about myself and all the things that will make me a better person. And then I go into that phase where I see myself as weak and wrong and stupid and ugly and not good enough and incapable and unworthy of love and unworthy of people caring about me. And I keep playing that over and over and over in my head. Some of you have an MP3 player that plays that. Some of you have a CD. I have an 8-track. It just keeps going over and over and over. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. But we need to know that we are. We are worthy of love. We are worthy of respect. We are worthy of every good thing that is here. Scripture says that it's God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. There aren't any qualifiers in that. Everything that is available to us, and we are worthy to receive every bit of it. It's our turn to step up and to stop that self-talk. I shared this with you once before, but about 8 months ago, I was sitting at my desk at the university, and I decided that I was all finished with this project, so I hit send. And I sent a bunch of numbers over to the president of UCF. And when those numbers got there, he sent me this very nice email back that said, "I think one of your numbers are wrong." He was right. One of my numbers was wrong. So I fixed the number first. Then I apologized again. And then I began to beat myself up for days. I started doing that why thing. Why didn't you slow down? Why didn't you get somebody to check your numbers? Why? And then I followed that with what if? What if I had done this, or what if I had done that? And then I started shoulding all over myself. You should have done this, you should have done that, you shouldn't have done this. And this went on for days. That affects everything else I do. That affects my home life, that affects my work life. It affected everything that was going on until I finally decided, let it go. The president was so gracious and kind. He generally is. He didn't get upset. He just wanted the right number, which he got, and we fixed the error. But I was painfully aware of that self-talk I was doing with myself. So when I start finding myself in that boat and there's something that I need to do differently, here's what I'd say to myself. I love you. I honor you. I trust you. And you are whole. I love you. I honor you. I trust you, and you are whole. And that helps bring my consciousness back to a place where I can be self-compassionate and can see the good that is going on in the world, the good that is going on in me. Because once you make that conscious choice not to bypass your feelings, but to just deal with them and get rid of them, then you have that realization of your true self, of who you really are in the Christ presence. Who you are is greater than any of the outer circumstances that you're dealing with. I remind myself that everything I need to be compassionate with myself is already in me. So I go inside and find that love. I find that peace and that joy, and I can step forward with who I am. Dr. Kristen Neff wrote a book called Self-Compassion. She says there are 3 important parts to self-compassion. The first is mindfulness. We're called to understand what's going on in our body at all times. We're supposed to pay attention to it. And whether we're feeling sadness or frustration or joy or happiness, we should notice what's going on in our body because we carry so much tension in our body. So we need to acknowledge what's there. That's the mindfulness piece. And she says that as we acknowledge what's there, we need to feel our feelings without being judgmental of them. So let that part go. Let the judgment go. Just acknowledge what's going on in your body. And then as you get comfortable doing that, we go into the self-compassion part. And she says the key to the self-compassion part is being gentle with yourself. Treating yourself as though you are someone that you love. Wow, I would hope we do that all the time, but I know we don't. Treat ourselves as though we genuinely love ourselves and move on into being gentle with ourselves. Some of you know one of my favorite songs is Karen Drucker's entitled Gentle with Myself. And the words are, I will be gentle with myself, I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I will rock myself like a newborn baby child. And I will love myself like a newborn baby child. And my favorite line in the whole song says, and I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. Learn to be gentle with yourself. And when you work on that self-compassion, be gentle with yourself as you treat yourself as you would your favorite person or your best friend. And then finally, she said that we need to recognize our own humanity and recognize our shared humanity. Because reality is we're not experiencing anything that other people aren't also experiencing. Everybody has issues, everybody has setbacks, everybody has things that they deal with, and we're just a part of that humanity. And when we think about it that way, then it's not just on us. It's just a part of us being spiritual beings having a human experience. Through self-compassion, we can acknowledge that everything is true that we think about ourselves, yet we can be kind to ourselves as we deal with the different situations. Dr. Neff also said, when we are safe and comforted, we are in the optimal mindset to do our very best. Safe and comforted, not only from things around us, but from within. We need to feel safe and comfort within ourselves. Self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and care that you would a good friend going through a difficult situation. It involves being mindful of your suffering, recognizing that you're not alone, and approaching yourself with gentleness rather than harsh self-criticism. So how do we do that? We practice self-compassion through mindfulness. As Dr. Neff said, we need to be aware of what's going on in our body. We need to be understanding what's moving through us and how we're feeling at all times. And we need to pay attention to our breath. Think about it. When you get upset, how does your breathing change? Very shallow, thank you. For most of us, it changes drastically. Those are the kind of things that we need to pay attention to in our body. And when we get there, we need to just be quiet, take deep breaths, and calm ourselves back down. We need to use guided meditations or other form of meditation when we can. And we need to step into being exactly who we are called to be. Reframe your negative thoughts. When your brain starts telling you all that junk, we need to learn to reframe it. So for every one negative thing your brain says to you, we need to counteract it with 3 positive things. So we can learn to channel and change and challenge those thoughts that are coming through and turn them into positive self-talk. And then we need to reflect on the lessons learned. I love it when I hear people say, you know, you've been very successful. You're here. You're successful. You're here. Things went well. And even if things didn't go well, we're still here. Things can improve. Things can be better. But I tell you once again, you are perfect exactly as you are right now. Knowing what you know, understanding the way you understand, wherever you are on your journey and your path, you are perfect. We need to remind ourselves of that. We need to practice self-care, whatever that means for you. For some people, it's reading a book. For some of us, it's listening to a book. For others, it's taking a warm bath. It's spending time in meditation. It's spending time in nature with your shoes off. Just enjoying and soaking up all that we can as we practice self-care. That's a part of our learning to be self-compassionate. Be kind to yourself when you make mistakes. Recognize that everybody makes them. We are having a human experience. And just be a part of that without beating yourself up and without trying to make things worse within yourself. And then seek support from others. Connect with your friends or family members. And if you need to, reach out to a therapist or someone who can help you. Find a person or people that are your tribe, that are your crew, that can help you move forward in your life and go on to the next best thing. The bottom line is to give yourself the tenderness and affection and care that you need when you're going through a tough time. Try to understand and show patience with yourself and to be tolerant of your own shortcomings. So this morning I offer you homework. Sorry. Not really. Here's your homework. I want you to go home and I want you to stand in front of your mirror, the biggest one you can find. And don't tell me your house doesn't have a mirror. We all got one in there somewhere. And if not, then take your phone out and flip it to take a selfie and look at yourself. No excuses, thank you. And when you get there and you look at yourself for kindness instead of criticism. Consider how many times you look in the mirror looking for your flaws. Is my makeup on right? Is my hair combed correctly? Do my clothes look okay? Exactly. Thank you, Yoli. We do that all day long. We look and we see if everything is good, if there's anything wrong that we need to fix. But I'm challenging you to stand in front of the mirror and instead of inspecting yourself, to connect with yourself. Really look at yourself. Look into your own eyes. And then these are the three things I want you to say to yourself. I honor you. I love you. I see you. I honor you. I love you. I see you. This is a moment about validating yourself, not about vanity. You are worthy of being seen. You are worthy of love. And you are worthy of it from others, but also from yourself. Try it every morning this week. Give a good statement to yourself. One kind statement while you're looking in the mirror each morning. All about judgment. Not about judgment, all about gentleness. Look at yourself. I love you. I honor you. I see you. Now, I do want to give credit. That came from Martha Creek. Some of you know Reverend Dr. Martha Creek. She's the one who sent that out. She's been doing a series every day on self-compassion and ways that she has experienced self-compassion every day. You can find her at marthacreek.com, and you can see what she's been going through and the different ways that she's expressing self-compassion. But in her last newsletter, this is one of the things she said. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are a human being doing the best you can with what you know in this moment. Goes right back to you are perfect, just as you are. Unity's fifth principle said that we live and understand, and then we express that to the world around us. We live the truth that we know. We live and understand and are compassionate with others and compassionate with ourselves. This week, I challenge you to practice self-compassion, remembering that you are love. Love is a part of who you are, and love is what we are called to express to each other and to ourselves. And so it is.